What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com, and welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. Let's get to it. We got a lot to talk about on today's show. We're going to recap the 3 Kentucky Derby prep races. Well, I guess we'll recap the 4 of the UAE Derby as well. We'll talk about it a little bit. And then the 3 main ones in the United States here a little bit as well. So we got a lot to do. We're going to also talk a little bit about the standings because they're kind of set, as in actually they are set, I should say. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about the UAE Derby. But let's talk about what happened here in the United States first. And we'll start with the Santa Anita Derby. That's where we'll kick it off here. And it's going to be quite interesting as we go along here to kind of look at the differences between the 3 races. So right here, Santa Anita Derby, won by Journalism, 3/4 a length better than Baeza. The maiden, Westwood, gets 3rd at odds of 44-1. The Baffert pair, 4th and 5th. So they're pretty crazy to think Bob Baffert in a 5-horse race enters 2 and finishes 2nd to last and last. Well, speaking of Bob Baffert, they made it hard on Journalism. We knew they would. We knew he would do this. So he sent 1 horse to the front. That was Citizen Bull. And then he put Barnes back to be the blocker as he kind of tried to pin Journalism in. And he did a pretty damn good job of it, to be honest. Barnes pinned him on the rail and kept him right there and wouldn't let him out. Finally, Journalism just bullied his way out and was able to get out, get clean, and go catch Baeza. Now, Baeza, when you look down here, he was right back there with Journalism, actually behind Journalism. And so Westwood, the other John Sheriff's runner, he sets it up for Baeza. He goes out there and runs with Citizen Bull, and they set a fairly quick tempo, especially the first fraction. The second one, not as bad. But, you know, he was kind of in the race to bother. So they all teamed up for different reasons. Anyway, it does set up for Journalism, Baeza. And it is Baeza who gets the jump on Journalism because, hey, nobody was pinning him in. And then finally Journalism gets out and comes down and runs down Baeza to win by 3/4 of a length. I thought this was super impressive. And in the weirdest way, even though it was only a 5-horse field, he did get a little bit of education. You look at the photos of him, and we've got a bunch on the website. You look at the photos of him, he was caked with dirt. I mean, he took a lot of dirt. He had to race inside horses. He literally had to just push Barnes out of the way at one time to make his run, and he did all of that. That's a great sign for the Kentucky Derby. I watched the replay a few times while preparing for this video, and I thought, you know what? My worry of what's he going to do with a bunch of horses and what's he going to do if he has to eat a bunch of dirt or he's pinned. He actually answered some of those questions, and he makes me feel a little bit easier about picking him in the Kentucky Derby, even though he's facing really short fields. Now, again, how will he react when there's more horses around him? That's still an unknown and a legitimate concern for sure, even for somebody like myself who likes Journalism quite a bit for the Kentucky Derby. That's still a concern, but I do like that he did face adversity. He had a target on his back, and he was able to get the job done. So Journalism, super impressed. Baeza, and unfortunately, because of the 5-horse field and the points getting cut by 25%, I don't know. It's not looking good for Baeza. I'll say that. Right now, he is sitting in 27th, I believe, on the current leaderboard of the Kentucky Derby. Of course, top 20 get in. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen there. I have my doubts that he's going to make it into the race. So that's kind of a bad deal, but it is what it is. That was the rules, and unfortunately, Baeza kind of gets penalized there for that. But he ran a very good second. Keep an eye on him. Maybe the Preakness or Belmont, where we'll see him next. I don't know for sure, but that was a big race from Baeza. I thought he really, like I said, he got the jump on Journalism. He had a chance, just couldn't hold him off. Journalism's just too good. But Baeza, another impressive gallop out as well. So I thought he was really good. Keep an eye on him as we go on. All right, let's keep going, though. We've got a lot more to talk about. And, I do think last thing on the Santa Anita Derby, I should speak on the Baffert horses. I don't think you had a horse in Barnes that was ready to run whatsoever. We kind of heard, rumors he wasn't quite ready to run, and he kind of ran like it, right? Citizen Bull, I don't know if it's the pedigree finally kind of hitting between the eyes and he didn't want to go a mile and an eighth. Baffert said he wasn't really ready for the race. I don't know about that, but he's better than what he showed, but boy, it's going to be hard to back him in the Kentucky Derby after this effort. Just wasn't that good. So we'll kind of see what happens moving forward with him. All right, I said we need to move on. We will now. We'll talk about a good thing for Baffert, and that was the Wood Memorial up at Aqueduct, where we finally saw the real Rodriguez. He wins by 3.5 going gate to wire. I was watching the race with my buddy Ryan Stillman, and he kept saying, nah, nobody's catching Rodriguez, even at the half-mile pole, three-quarters pole. He said, nobody's catching this horse. He is smooth sailing out there. Look at him. He hadn't broke a sweat. And, yeah, it turned for home, and Captain Cook's getting rid pretty hard to kind of catch him, and Rodriguez is just cruising. So he cruises to an easy lead. Grande gets up for second. I thought it was a pretty good effort from Grande. Maybe a horse we can move forward with here. I thought that was a decent effort there from Grande, but as of right now, we'll show you he's out on the outside looking in, but that could change. Passion Rules closes up late for third. I mentioned Captain Cook. He was the first one to make a move on Rodriguez. He couldn't do much about it. He just kind of faded. So tough one to read here. A couple of things on Rodriguez. If you go back and you listen to my, you probably, nobody wants to do this, but I'll just tell you, if you go back to my Robert B. Lewis video, I picked Rodriguez to win. I thought that day, you know what? I think Rodriguez is better than Citizen Bull from a talent perspective. It's a short field. I know he's faster early. Get him to the front. I don't think he'll get beat. Well, they rated him off the pace that day. They did not let him run, and he embarrassed me. He got beat easily by Citizen Bull. Like I said, I was embarrassed of the pick, but yeah, whatever. And then you watch what happened to San Felipe, and it's just like, oh, man, this horse is crazy. Like he acted up, and I don't really think he did anything they wanted him to do that day. I took like a total line through that and thought, I just don't think he was going to listen to anything. Send him up to the Wood. They said, hey, we're going to send him to Aqueduct. It's a little Aqueduct. It's a little bit of a quieter track, and he kind of behaved the whole time. I was watching him in the paddock in the post parade. He was fine. So now, what's he going to do in Kentucky for the Kentucky Derby? It's probably going to not be great, but maybe he's figured it out a little bit. I'm telling you, I think they really screwed up not sending him to the lead in some of these earlier races after he broke his maiden. Just send him and see what happens. Maybe it's a fast pace and he can't hold on, but we've seen Baffert horses run fast and keep going. So keep an eye on Rodriguez. I was super impressed with this effort. And again, I don't know what that means going forward. I'm just saying on this day, I thought Rodriguez was really, really impressive. Finally, we'll go to the Bluegrass here at Keeneland. Ran on Tuesday. It actually just happened about an hour ago. They just crossed the wire. It was Burnham Square that gets the job done by a nose over East Avenue. River Thames was in third. Admiral Dennis fourth. That rounded out the top four. Big story. OMI, Chancellor McPatrick, not good at all. They dead heated for last and second to last there. But as far as the three horses that hit the board here, I do look at Burnham Square and say, okay, that was impressive. You were kind of wide. You didn't have the greatest trip. You just kept fighting and you got the job done. They did go pretty slow the last furlong and a half of this race. East Avenue set a pretty decent clip early, kind of slowed it down late and was able to get second. It really looked like to me they turned for home and everybody was tired. East Avenue was tired. River Thames and Owen Almighty were tired. Chancellor Patrick tired. Admiral Dennis just not quite good enough, and it just kind of looked like East Avenue was like, come on, somebody come get me here. I'm very, very exhausted. Give him credit for holding on, but I think Burnham Square just had everything pretty much set up for him. Despite the trip was not great, but the pace and everything was set up for him. Somebody needed to go get him. He was able to get the job done. I don't have a lot of interest in these horses moving forward. I'll say that immediately. I don't necessarily. I think the Derby is going to be a little bit too high of a class for these horses. I think they're decent enough, but I'm just a little bit worried once we get to the Kentucky Derby, we may not be able to see these horses do quite as much because I just think they're going to be just a little bit outclassed. But good on Burnham Square to kind of rebound. He ran better for sure, and really good on East Avenue to rebound. He was just brutal his last two races. He was back. I mean, he ran pretty solid here. But overall, again, I'm not sure these horses are really going to be big time prime contenders as far as the Kentucky Derby is concerned. All right. I said we would talk about the UAE Derby, and I said we would talk about the leaderboard. We're going to do that all at once here. I'll pull this up on the screen now, and we'll talk about the top 25 or so, 6 or 7 horses for the Kentucky Derby right now. That's very small. I'm gonna blow that up for you though. Don't worry about it. Maybe. Let's see here. There we go. So we'll zoom in on it here. Burnham Square, Sandman, Journalism, Rodriguez, Tistastic, Tappan Street, Sovereignty. I'll blow this up just a little bit more for you guys. Sovereignty, Final Gambit, Coal Battle, Chunk of Gold, Citizen Bull, East Avenue, Owen Almighty, East Avenue, Publisher, American Promise, River Thames, Flood Zone, Luxor Cafe, Admire Daytona, Heart of Honor. That is your top 20. Now you may look at number 19 and 20 and go, what does this mean? Euro Mid-East. Okay, so the Euro road to the Kentucky Derby has 2 automatic qualifiers. So the top 2 finishers of that UAE Derby, Admire Daytona, Heart of Honor, they're in the race if they want to come. I have heard Admire Daytona is coming. Heart of Honor, not sure. Haven't heard a official on that. So there you go. Maybe controversial. I did not like the running of the UAE Derby. I did not think it was a very good running, but they're here, these 2 horses, and then the Japanese horse Luxor Cafe also here. So if they all come, that's 3 spots taken away. There also the horse at number 17 right now, Flood Zone. He was nowhere to be found in the UAE Derby, but he won the Gotham at a mile at Aqueduct to get 50 points. He's in as of now. I can't imagine they're going to run him, but I've been surprised before. So all this to be said, this is a weird situation where we've got horses that I'm not sure deserve to be in it, and we've got horses immediately down here that maybe do. So we'll go look here at this Flying Mohawk at 21, Grande at 22, Matticat Road 23, Built 24, Neoquist 25, Render Judgment 26, Baeza right there at 27. Past that, Chancellor Patrick 28, Poster 29, Passion Rules there at 30. And I think the ones that really stand out, Baeza, a horse that got second in what everybody thought was a very tough Santa Anita Derby. There he is, like I said, right there at 27. Neoquist has hit the board in a couple of preps down in Florida. Built's been on the board a couple times in Louisiana. Matticat Road, second in the Rebel Stakes. Grande, second at Aqueduct in the Wood. You just kind of feel like even a Flying Mohawk type of horse that ran well in the Jeff Ruby, you just kind of feel like those horses might deserve to be in over 2 of these here coming from the UA Derby. Flood Zone, nowhere to be found. I'm hoping for horses to kind of say, okay, like a Flood Zone, maybe we should point for something a little bit different. So give these horses a little bit of a chance that have earned it just a bit more. And, I do think last thing I'll say before we'll go to the top 5s, Owen Almighty, it sounds like he's not going to run. It sounds like, they kind of knew they didn't really need to be going 1.25 miles. They did not run well, obviously, in the bluegrass. And one thing I'll tell you, when you can kind of tell that a horse really, it was the distance that gets him, go back and watch Owen Almighty in the bluegrass. He turned for home. He was making a move, and you kind of looked at it and thought, okay, Owen Almighty's in a great spot. He just faltered big time the longer they kept going. And so, if that race is at 1 mile, I think he wins it. But 1 1/8, you saw it just hit him right between the eyes, and he just could not make up any ground and just faded. So that's kind of the look at the top 20 right now. We're going to keep you updated now with this as we go. We'll keep you updated on defections and things of that nature as we go. All right, let's get to the top 5s now, and we'll get Jon White's thoughts and comments on things. I'm just going to read off both the top 5s first, and then we'll get Jon's comment, and then I will comment on that. So different top 5s. We'll go Jon first here. Number 5, Rodriguez for Jon. Number 4, Sovereignty. Number 3, Tappan Street. Number 2, Sandman. And number 1, Journalism for Jon once again this week. I'll read through mine now. I've got, I had a hard time past number 1. I had a hard time. I put Tistastic number 5 this week. I think he's kind of being forgotten. He really improved, was stretching out to 1 3/16 in the Louisiana Derby. I kind of think what this is going to be for me and how this is shaping up. And again, don't hold me to this. We're still, almost a month away. kind of feels like I'm going journalism and let's get some prices underneath. Maybe Tistastic can be that one. Sovereignty number 4, he's back on for me. Everybody's lost their mind about how I was hard on Sovereignty. Well, here he is back at 4 because after I watched the rest of the preps, I thought, yeah, he's back in it. So I put Sovereignty at 4. I do think the pace is going to be hot. Now East Avenue's in there, Rodriguez. So I think the pace got hotter with the results that we saw. So maybe that helps Sovereignty quite a bit. Number 3 is Rodriguez. I liked it. I still don't fully believe in him. He had to go to Aqueduct to do it, but he ran pretty darn well. So I'm going to put Rodriguez at number 3. Sandman number 2 for me. Don't fully believe in him either, but he was awfully strong in winning that Arkansas Derby. I know the pace set up perfect for him. He galloped out amazing. We know he's got talent. He's a little bit screwy, but I've got him at number 2. Then, of course, journalism, number 1 for me. So one prep to go. We'll talk about it in a second, but journalism going to be number 1 for me for many, many weeks in a row. Citizen Bull was the only other horse I've had number 1 this year. He obviously out of the top 5 after that lackluster effort. All right, let's get to Jon's comments. As of every week, he sends the comments in with his top 5. He said, I've decided that journalism will be my pick to win the Run for the Roses following his wonder performance in the Santa Anita Derby, which he won despite a troubled trip. Journalism had so much dirt kicked back at him during the Santa Anita Derby that he was painted in dirt from head to toe afterwards, in the words of Aaron Wellman, who heads the ownership group Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners. Journalism even had dirt in his ears, according to Wellman. In the Santa Anita Derby, journalism once again demonstrated that he is a very special equine athlete. Finishing second to journalism in the Santa Anita Derby was Baeza at odds of 14-1. Baeza finished second, even though he lost a shoe during the race, and that's something I learned just when Jon texted me that the other day. In last week's video, I warned everyone to watch out for Baeza. In fact, Baeza was my top pick in the Santa Anita Derby betting Bible. That would have been a good cash there for Jon. So close. I honestly think Baeza is one of the best 3-year-olds in the country. Heck, Baeza might even be the second best 3-year-old in the country to journalism, but Baeza might not be able to run, and I think I'll insert my thoughts into this real quick. It's looking very sketchy based on what we just saw that he's going to be able to run. I'll keep going with Jon, though. Not going to be able to run in the Kentucky Derby because of only having 37.5 points this year. Churchill has a new policy in which Kentucky Derby qualifying points for the Santa Anita Derby were reduced by 24 or 25% due to being only 5 starters. For finishing second, Baeza again with 37.5. In past years, Baeza would have earned 50, and 50 points would probably get him in to the Kentucky Derby starting gate. I think it'd be a shame if Baeza doesn't make the field to compete in the Kentucky Derby. And in Jon's opinion, Churchill made a mistake with the new points policy. Before this year's Santa Anita Derby, Jon goes on to say, many broadcasters, writers, and observers said they felt like the Santa Anita Derby field was the best Kentucky Derby points race so far this year in terms of quality. Well, if that's true, and I think it is, then why should Baeza get fewer points than the second place finishers in races that were widely perceived to not be as much of quality as the Santa Anita Derby? And he's talking about races like Louisiana Derby, Arkansas Derby, Florida Derby, Wood Memorial Bluegrass, and Jeff Ruby Stakes. Anyway, speaking of the Wood Memorial, I have added its winner Rodriguez to my list as number 5. And to make room for Baeza, I have dropped Citizen Bull after his disappointing effort in the Santa Anita Derby. So, excuse me, to make room for Rodriguez, I should have said got Baeza on my main. To make room for Rodriguez, he dropped Citizen Bull after that bad effort there. So that's Jon's thoughts. Yeah, look, he's right. It's a bad deal. I guess I totally agree. But it's the rules, and that's the problem. And here's the deal. They didn't make up the rules after they drew the race. You've got to, if you're California, and really, I think it's maybe we blame the racing office, maybe we do whatever here, but Baeza is a victim of just Southern California not filling the fields. I think you have at some point when you see that going and you see the trend of we're going to have 4 or 5 horse races, you just got to beg horses, or trainers, I should say, to enter some horses. Just get us to 7, get us to 6. That would work as well. So it's unfortunate, but that is a definite problem. We'll see. Baeza Needs some defections. I don't think he'll get in, but we'll see if he can. All right, let's wrap this thing up and we'll talk about the Lexington Stakes just real quick. Shouldn't have much impact on the Kentucky Derby. Should have zero impact on the Kentucky Derby, I should say. Field of 9 here. I think this is more of a Preakness prep for a lot of these horses, or just a spot where it's like, hey, let's try to get a win out of our horse here. Prater, the favorite at 2-1. You can look at a full preview of this right now on the channel. It is up. The full Lexington preview is up right now. So for more, just go to look at that. But that's what we've got coming up this Saturday. All right, guys, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week. We'll break down the Lexington. We'll kind of update you with any news that's happening. We're going to have defections. We know that. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. But yeah, other than that, we'll kind of keep you updated as we go now towards the Kentucky Derby. We've got just, 2 or 3, I think actually 3 or 4 more of these shows, and then it'll be Derby Day. So pretty crazy. The journey that starts in November is getting ready to come to a close. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching this video. Hit that like button if you liked it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck. Well, it's not good luck, but it's good luck handicapping the Derby. And come back next week for another Kentucky Derby update.